Konnichiwa, Kawaii Critic here to review Fear the Walking Dead, Season 3, Episode 4, 100. So, sorry and apologize for not remembering this character's name. His name was Daniel, and I must once again thank the episode for bringing that up. Now, just a quick note before I begin this review. I believe next week I won't be able to catch I will be able to catch next week's episode, but the review will probably have to wait until probably a Friday. So that will definitely be a little bit different, as I do have a lot of work ahead of me this coming week. As for this episode, we see this overshot of some zombies just roaming around and other shots, and then we see Daniel and how he managed to survive somehow, but yeah, he's alive and he's walking around struggling to get by, and he sees that this dog sees him when these walker I should say, chases after him, and this guy ends up saving him, and this guy's name is Ephron. Now, Ephron leads him to some building where after Ephron rides him to this building, and this building is occupied by a few others, and they're trying to hide out from this other group. So, introduces him, that being Daniel, to Lola, and they treat the cuts and burns because apparently he was in an explosion. I must have missed that episode, but I did think he died, so yeah. Anyway, so Daniel is out and about with this cane, and Ephron is out killing walkers with a hammer and a nail in a very religious, sort of like werewolf almost type way. Anyways, they get inside this little place. I guess it's like this little resting hut. And Daniel offers to cut Ephron's hair. And at some point, Ephron shows him, that being Daniel, this location to get water. So, as they're talking, Daniel admits that he has killed several people. He mentioned a number, 96, I believe it was. And then talks about how he's trying to find his daughter. Oh, how he burned his daughter. Apparently might have burned her alive, so there's that. And then he ends up walking out into this thunderstorm, and then he comes across this really big walker, which I believe this is the first big walker we've seen on the show, either on Fear the Walking Dead or The Walking Dead. I don't think The Walking Dead has had a big walker yet, not to my knowledge anyway. So Daniel tries to cut it down, and after failing, he goes down on his knees, and then the thunderstorm, luckily, zaps the walker to death, and that causes Daniel to sort of pass out. So he's picked up by these other individuals who bring him into this location, this waterfront, I guess I'll call it, and he's brought in by these two cleaning guys who are tasked to essentially, I guess, clean up walkers from getting in there. So after that, he's moved closer into the dam area because he was like in this drain area, so he's moved closer to the actual dam part of it. And Daniel is introduced to this bodyguard, JC, and then he is tasked to then clear out some of the walkers. So we see Dante again, the business guy, who was doing business with, I believe his name was Vincent, the Black Doctor. I think that's his name. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was his name from the last review, but I don't remember 100%. Anyway, the machine, I believe it was CJ who had the machine gun, and then these two other guys had these machine guns, and then they were leading them, uh, leading Daniel to the location to where the others might be. So they come across the fountain, and then once the water starts like sprinkling, Daniel assumes that they're gonna hear it, and then points them to the water thief, which was Ephron. So he kind of sells out Ephron in order to save Lola. So, then Daniel actually sees Vincent, the thing we see at the end of the previous episode, and Vincent tells Daniel about the daughter and how she's actually safe, and of course Daniel doesn't believe that, and then he walks out on Vincent to perish in this sort of cell. So anyways, Dante offers to give Daniel this opportunity to beat up Ephron after he learns that Daniel is this murderer, or this killer who has killed various people, so he wants to do that. So Daniel does beat on Ephron for a while, and Lola eventually comes to the rescue of him. And then we are moved to this new location, the actual like upper part of this area where we saw Dante throw one of the individuals off previously, and he has a bunch of people lined up, and Daniel is forced to bring one over, and then have Dante essentially kill that guy. And Daniel didn't do anything until it was Lola's turn. So when it was her turn, Daniel fought back, killed the two guards, killed Dante as well, and asked for forgiveness, handing her the gun, offering the opportunity to kill him, but she instead extended her hands in forgiveness, essentially. So that is the end of this episode. Now, I'll admit that out of all the characters, I think Daniel's the one I was most interested in learning about more, and he was the one character that I felt the most like I want that character to survive sort of vibe coming off of him. He was the most interesting character, at least to me. Now, I still don't think that they quite have a Michonne type character in this show yet. I don't even think Daniel serves that role quite yet. The sort of super assassin. That's essentially what I see Michonne as. You know, they don't have a Daryl. They don't have that super killer. I mean, Daniel's a bit older. He moves a bit slower. His attitude is in the right place, but I feel like it's tough for me to say, but I don't think he's gonna make it through that very long. That is just my suspicion, but who knows? Anyways, I thought this episode was okay. Again, not many. I really don't like how they're sort of avoiding walkers so much in this show this fast. It feels like they really rushed through this. You know, The Walking Dead had its time to explore the fear of the walkers, and this show definitely rushed it. And it definitely shows in this episode, in the previous episode too, as well, of how much people are just essentially the problem, especially when they conflict with other people. But again, the walkers' use is still fairly limited, and I feel like that is one of the show's still weaknesses, is the walkers already feel like they're not much of a threat. They weren't much of a threat here. We saw like 2 get killed, I believe, and then from there it was just sort of just one guy getting thrown off into. We didn't even see the walkers like sort of grab onto him or anything this time either, so there wasn't even that. Anyways, that is my review of this episode. We'll see if Fear the Walking Dead can eventually pick up, but I highly doubt it. But I'll keep my eye out. And again, next week's review will probably be on a Friday if I can manage to remember to do that. So, anyways, if you enjoyed this review, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, everyone. Bye!